Alright, so it's time to show you where Lemmiwinks is at this point. It's undergone quite a bit of changes. It's now symmetrical. So as you can see, it's same on both sides. Wheel layout wise at least. And this means it can go backwards and forwards in the tunnel. You can also see there's some action relays as well as an antenna on it now. And the connector is no longer on a subgrid. So that does have some trade-offs. Not having that on the subgrid means it's lower down in the corridor, which means the spacing between the connectors is quite a bit lower. So it's not great that way, but this way it is a lot more print friendly. And in fact, this is actually vanilla print friendly now. As you can see, there's two merge blocks. Otherwise, not a whole lot has changed in this version. As you can see here, I've got a little station set up, and this is a printable station, and it's just got a little loop here. So this station can actually print Lemmiwinks in its entirety. See, there's the blueprint, and you can see it has to do some funny stuff with the hinges, kind of knocks it out of the way, and it lets it go. And this is one downside, it does leave a hinge behind. I'm not sure that there's a real good way around this now, but as you can see, it completely welded itself up and launched itself off. And it's able to turn and do all its things. It works real good. And even come over here, we can hit this line, and what that's going to do is it's going to change the direction, and it's going to start doing its thing in reverse now. And yeah, that's kind of where it is. I mean, it's a really easy to kind of overview, but this is a lot of work. This is a good chunk of work. I'm really happy how compact it got. It's set up so it can shoot out this way or this way, as well as it can set modifiers so you can have different launch sequencing. So right now it's set up for one program, but you can easily reprogram it to do different launches. And right now just forward and reverse are set up, but then there could also be like a launch left and a launch right, which would tell it to, you know, like always turn right at the first intersection or whatever, or only always turn right maybe, or increase your suspension because you know you're going to be hooking up to a heavy payload grid or something. So it works pretty good in that regard. A lot of customization. Let's see if we can even send this back. Sometimes it does get stuck in like a half state, just due to either a reverse or some weird sensor positions, but it doesn't actually cause any issues. It's just a thing that happens. But yeah, I can come out this back and go out the front. So this could be placed inline, and right now it doesn't have any way of adding the payload grid. These are ones that this was an old design I was working on for like freaking a couple weeks, I think. And yeah, all this is garbage. This is like, I don't know, 30 hours worth of work. And it's just way too bulky. Also, I had like this whole thing where I was breaking the loop and inserting. Yeah, it's just a waste of time. This works so much better. But I just need to make the payload grid, which I think is possible to do with vanilla printing as well. So not only will it be able to print Lemmiwinks itself, but it'll be able to print and then attach the payload grid automatically. So you could, say from anywhere in your base, send a program to this welder to weld up Lemmiwinks and whatever grid you want, and then send it to where you are in the base at that time, and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm going with the system. Still a lot to do, but this is kind of like one of the main things I really wanted to be able to do, was to have fully automatic and welding, printing rather, because I want to, be able to request a cart and not have to worry about like building a surplus of carts, or is there a cart at a certain destination, stuff like that. This way it can just build carts on demand if it needs to. And you might have noticed there is 2 more action relays, and those were tentatively in ways of disabling the left or right sensors as a way to like force a specific turn. The only problem with that is it isn't great if there's multiple Lemmiwinks in tunnels and stuff like that, because like there's no problem, you can run 2 of these, no problem, as long as they're running in, if they're in the same tunnels, the identical same tunnels, they need to be running in the same direction, of course. But even if they like kind of catch up to one another, the only time this doesn't work is when this happens. That was really bad luck there. We can just print a new one. Yep. This one will get through, I think. Yeah. Hopefully it goes this way. Nope, of course it's gonna go the wrong way. See, they'll get stuck if they're both going the wrong way, but anyways, yeah, that's the one downside with the action relays. Basically, is this: if I tell it to reverse, it tells all of them to reverse, and the only way around that is when you're welding it up, you could add in one of the launch parameters. You could add in to change the action relays channel. So you could have set channels as well, which allows you to isolate these. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to dealing with turns. Like right now it's just kind of random whether or not it goes left or if it goes right. That's just kind of up to, it seems to be favored to the right, but it's kind of random if it'll go left or right here. So I'm still trying to figure out the best way to ensure it always goes right or it always goes left. I have an idea, but that requires like putting a sensor block at every turn and then using action relays to disable the turn that you don't want to make, but that would be kind of annoying to have the sensor block, and then you have to worry about, is that sensor block within reach of your main grid's antenna, and is that antenna long enough to reach wherever Lemmiwinks is? So it's not the ideal situation. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it with discrete logic on Lemmiwinks itself, but as you can see, I am very limited in blocks. I can't put any blocks really anywhere on top. The only one that might be able to fit a block is, you can technically fit a block here. The problem is it can only be it can't even be this block. Is there any blocks it can be? Any useful blocks? Because even if you do this, this connector interferes with that little loop here. So like if I can show you quick here. We try and do a right turn. You can see how it's kind of hitting here. It's not doing a full turn, and you can kind of really see it when I delete this block. You'll see it kind of resets when it goes to that full turn. So that's why we can't put a block there. So the only blocks that can be used are these two blocks here, which could be switched out for ECs or timer blocks if those work better. Otherwise, you can't have a block in this position or this position because it'll jam up. So there's really... What is going on now? Oh, that's why. I have no idea why that wasn't working. Was I like... Oh, I was probably looking at this and turning this off and on. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, so it's really just those two blocks that are open to being able to be used. Everything else is taken, and you can't fit any more blocks lengthwise, or else it won't be able to turn nicely. So, yeah, it's hard to figure out the discrete logic. And right now there is only 2 batteries in the system. But of course, you're generally going to be having some kind of payload grid, which could have more batteries on it. So maybe I could get rid of like one of these batteries and go down to just a single battery on Lemmiwinks itself, and then just rely on always hooking up to a payload grid with more batteries on it. Then give me one more block to work with. But yeah, there is room for more sensor blocks though, which I might be able to use sensor blocks to do some of the logic, which would definitely be better, because I can fit sensor blocks on actually like all of these blocks. All of these blocks can have sensor blocks. I think even these can have sensor blocks. Maybe... no, I don't think these ones can. But yeah, I could fit a lot of sensors on this. If I could. I think I could only really utilize 1 or 2, but I could definitely get 1 or 2 on and maybe come up with some of that logic. And hopefully these 2 are going to be enough, but yeah. That's for another day, another time. This is where it's at so far, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm really liking that I got the symmetrical design to work as a printable design even, because that's huge. See what happens. See if it goes the right way this time. Nope, goes the wrong way. Alright, yeah, that's it for this time. I've talked too much. That is where it is. And you can see the mess of this world I've made with all my tests. I'm still a little bit butthurt that I put all the time into this design and it doesn't work for shit. But this design is so much better. It's so much smaller. And yeah, that's it.